Hey Nathan, we're going to go and break down your straight air to see how you can get them to a point where you're comfortable taking them on any jump. And you're really close is the good news. I went and watched this video. I actually tried to do a full video analysis and I was 8 minutes in and I'm like, we gotta redo this because I think that you're closer than I was giving you credit to when I originally started. So the first things I want to highlight is you have some really good stuff going on here. First of all, you're making sure your board's maintaining contact with the snow until you ride off. You can even see it here, your tail, bam, snapping off. The other thing you're doing really well is you're keeping a super nice straight line off the jump. Keeping it consistent with good edge pressure the whole way, flattening out as you're leaving. So that's all really good. Your board position and timing for that is all really awesome. So if those are good, what is causing you some difficulties? The first thing that's very minor that I'm seeing is you're getting on your toe edge a little bit too early. So see how you're getting on your toe edge down here? If you go and delay that into around here, it's just going to make it so you don't need to hold it quite as long, because right here we're seeing a little bit of turn by the very end. You can see it right here. You're going straight, and in the next frame, you're slightly to the right. So this is telling me that you're holding your toe edge a little bit too long, and it's starting to shift your direction of your momentum to the right. And what this does is a combination of things. Because your chest is slightly open here, that mixed with your board wanting to go slightly this way is causing a bit of torsion, making it so you're having a harder time generating your momentum upwards. So that's a very small thing you can fix. I'll demonstrate a bit more on one of my clips in a bit here. But the main thing you need to work on is two things. First of all, your timing of your extension. Notice how you're going and you're meeting your maximum height of your leg extension before you're off the lip. So your maximum extended here, but then your tail is still in contact with a jump for a few frames. This means you're not getting any of the benefits of bending down and extending from your legs. Instead, you're doing more of a coast, but with all the downsides of doing the pop. Because you're still going and compromising your body by bending down, popping up, but because you're going and mistiming it, you're leaving the takeoff completely straight, so you're not completely straight. You're holding your legs extended for a little bit of time, meaning that you're not actually getting that extra snap from bending down and squatting up. So you need to dial in that timing a little bit more and make sure that you fully extend as your tail snaps off the end. Because your tail is snapping off the end very nicely here, your body's just not matching it. And then this is what I think is probably your biggest mistake is your knee is coming a little bit inwards. It's really hard to see because you have black pants here, but what I'm seeing is your hips are slightly rotated open, your shoulders are slightly off kilter, and your knee is slightly towards your front foot. These are all really, really subtle, and each one of these isolated alone wouldn't be too big of a deal, but combined with this little bit of an opening in the hips is going to make it so your momentum isn't going straight up when you pop off your tail. Instead, it's going to go and torque you, give you some more torque. So in matter of importance, the upper body is I'll redo that. So your legs are the least important. It's okay to let your back leg come in a little bit, but I think the reason why your back leg's coming in is because your hips are shifting a little bit, rotating, opening your hips, and that's going to throw you off a bit. And that combined with your arms being angled out and chest open is causing a little bit of frontward rotation that you need to fight, and it's just making it so you don't have that control. So this is the better jump, and you can see that you get up and down. And the biggest thing I like to see is that you're getting up and into a jump. Nice matching the arc of a takeoff into the arc of a landing. That's all because you're getting that great snap off the tail. So that's why I don't think you need to focus too much on getting more pop out of your legs. Instead, right now, we want to focus on squaring up that body a little bit because you're going and getting the proper arc of a jump, what's the most important thing. And you're doing that by leaving off your tail. So I want you to focus less on the pop and focus more on your body positioning. Now we're going to go and look at one of my straight airs, and we're going to see what subtle differences are being made. Because there are differences, but they aren't as significant as you might think. So this straight air isn't absolutely perfect, but we were happy enough with it for the tutorial. So we'll use it here. I'll also show you why it's not a perfect straight air. The first thing I want you to note is I'm delaying my toe edge approach a little bit longer than you are. So see how I'm not really setting into my toe edge angle until I'm at the middle of the jump? This just makes it so it's easier to hold the line. The next thing I want you to pay attention to is how squared my body is. So everything's connected. I don't have any twisting in the hips. I'm nice and stacked over my board. Spine is completely straight. So you can have this little bit of like, your chest can be going forward as long as your back's straight and you're squatting down in correlation. That's what lets you maintain the stack position. And then the snap up, you can see that my chest is opening a little bit like yours was, but I'm still relatively angled down, and it's a flat, tall motion of extension with my hips and legs completely straight. And I am actually paying for letting my upper body open here. This is a mistake. It's just a subtle one, because look at right here. When I'm taking off, my board is slightly angled this way, matching the angle of my arms as I left the jump. So that is a mistake. The reason why it didn't cost me and it didn't hurt control is because I got such a smooth, clean pop with everything being stacked over each other. So I'm taking off, stacked, legs completely straight, and look at this timing. I'm not stagnant until my tail leaves off the end. So I'm extending, 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 tail pops off, and that's what brings everything up together. So even though my upper body is slightly opened and that causes my board to rotate, the arc of the jump and my control of the air from that good pop gives me time to go and pull it back and pull it all in together, letting me go and get that clean motion. So that's really all you're missing. Go. Focus on getting that little bit of a shorter setup carve, keeping completely stacked, not letting that back leg come in, keeping the hips squared, not letting your hips rotate open, keeping your shoulders as squared as you can, not letting them open, and then the timing of your pop, making sure that if you are doing a pop, you finish extending as your tail snaps off the end, because that's going to give you more power and really let you utilize your range of motion. We're just going to go back to yours just to go and wrap this up and see if we can notice any of the differences now that we looked at mine for comparison. So we can see your chest is a little bit more open. Your chest is a bit more open, your shoulders slightly angled down, your hips are slightly twisted, and your knees have a bit of a bend that they hold through the whole duration of a takeoff. So you can see we're not getting fully full, and your back isn't getting fully extended. So you're staying a little bit hunched for this full motion. Now let's go and look at the better jump and see if that reigns true for that one. So you're coming in, good line off a takeoff, good tail pressure, and chest open. Chest a little bit open, hips do look a little squared, and you're not taking off with full extension, just that little bit of bend. So just to go and recap, everything's looking really good. You're really close. I want you to go into the jumps. Find smaller jumps if you can, because those jumps are a little bit big to start working on your form. You can still do it, but smaller jumps are better. So focus on staying nice and squared for the jump. Instead of going and letting yourself round down, try to keep your back a little bit straighter so when you squat down, your spine is still straight. And then focus on your pop and your timing for your snap. Think about jumping off the ground. If you go, extend, hold it, and then try to jump, you don't have your power. So you're trying to match up your timing so you go and you extend fluently through the whole duration of the takeoff. As your tail snaps off the lip, that's when you hit your maximum extension. And that maximum extension will help you, because right now you're sort of taking off, holding it, and then doing like this. Your legs are still a little bit bent, and you're not really held in, so it's not letting you get that full motion. And the last thing that I really want you to pay attention to is I think your hips are sort of turned like this. So you're taking off a jump with your hips slightly opened, and that's what's causing this unbalance. Because even though I let my chest open slightly, I'm still keeping my hips closed. So when I take off, it's full extension. Where if you let your hips open, then it's going to go and make it so your back knee can't really extend straight because it's twisted forward, your hips are going to slightly shift down, and your body is going to be slightly slayed. So when you try to pop, it's going to want to stop your range of motion. Let me back up so I can show my legs a bit more in this. So your knees open, that opens your chest, that makes it so it's really hard to get that full extension. feels uncomfortable. But if you go and square it, square knees, square everything, then you can go and get your legs extended easy. So sorry for this video being a little bit convoluted and a rant, but that's just because your straight arms are really close. So the changes you need to make are really subtle. So keep working on it, work on it in smaller jumps, work on it just like popping off of bumps on the mountain, because your takeoff, your board pressure on the snow are all there, all ready to be moved on to bigger jumps. You just need to work on squaring these hips. And once you go and implement these changes, you'll be able to feel so much more comfortable and start adding way more power to your jumps. And once you can start adding power to your jumps, then you'll have the control to really start playing around with it, getting your grabs and just feeling like you own it in the air. So try to implement these. If you have any questions or you want any more feedback, please just let me know. I'm here to help. So thank you for submitting your clips, and keep on shredding.